Let's see. Hello, everyone. Can anybody hear me out there in the chats? Maybe leave a quick chat to say hello. Great. Looks like some folks from Twitch are logging in. We've got Ales and Divyansh. Hello. It's really great to hear from you. My name's Steven. I work with MLH. My pronouns are he, him, his. I live here in New Jersey, in the USA. Anyone want to say maybe where they're logging on from, what country? It's always interesting to see all the different people logging on to Major League Hacking events from all over the world. Wow, Orlando, Colombia, India, UK, Milwaukee. Wow, Milwaukee. I guess that's where they make all of the hot dogs. I thought they have that Wienermobile. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and share with you all the presentation that I have for today. And what we're going to be doing today is learning about blockchain. We're going to be learning about a particular blockchain technology called Zen. Here is the presentation. Hopefully you all can see the presentation. And let's just go ahead and, before we move on to this, talk a little bit about my own background. So, seems like it should change. Yeah, okay. So like I said, I hope that you learned something new today. My background is mostly with Python programming, and I really like the Project Jupyter tool for Julia and Python. So that's a little bit about me. Anybody else want to share their favorite programming language in the chat? Please feel welcome to. Hopefully this goes again. Yeah. So our mission here at Major League Hacking is to empower hackers. And so outside of local Hack Day, we also have tens of thousands of hackers and projects that we engage with every year across the world, not just in North America, as you can see from the chat, worldwide. And if you want to learn more about our mission and some of the ways we accomplish that, just visit mlh.io. Okay. So the first section we'll look at is Introduction to Blockchain. And we're going to talk about technology called Zen, and we'll learn about Horizen in general. You'll learn how to create a Sphere wallet and send and receive transactions, and even how to deploy and run an application that uses this blockchain technology. So I think that's really the best part of this workshop, is we'll actually get to apply this blockchain technology in a real-world setting. When you hear the word blockchain, what does it make you think about? Well, it's really a data structure. It's a chain of different blocks of information that are all connected through a shared ledger. And does anyone in the chat maybe have a question, or maybe would like to share an example of a blockchain technology? I have some comments here while I'm waiting for people to chat. Someone likes my keyboard. Thank you. Mechanical keyboards rule. Someone asks if we're going to use Merkle trees. To be honest, I don't know. I don't really know that much about blockchain to know that in depth. I don't think we are going to get such details today. Somebody says Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's probably the most familiar version. Linked list is a data type, actually. I suppose you could say it is similar to blockchain, but blockchain relies on consensus amongst all of the reliant parties. So in that sense, it's different from a standard data type. Somebody says, is it the same as cryptocurrency in general? That's kind of an application of this sort of thing. Ethereum, a couple people say, yeah. So a lot of people know about cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, but blockchains, in fact, can be used to store data, all kinds of data. And so It can be used in it's a centralized form. That's or rather, it's a decentralized form. What we're looking at now are database, where you have a highly efficient storage of items, but it's centralized. So there's a particular entity that's deciding, who can create data, delete data, things like this. And so the control of the resources is centralized. And so think about YouTube, for example. When you have a YouTube video, if YouTube decides to delete your video because it's inappropriate, that is YouTube's discretion. And there's one authentication way to make this decision. But with blockchain as a solution, we actually don't have this central authority like Google or Microsoft to say that this is no longer allowed. It's actually a decentralized platform in which everything is shared collectively, the responsibility of authorizing a transaction. So what if everybody had, instead of just YouTube, everybody has a copy of all the videos, and all new videos are verified by everybody else's videos, and the only rightful owners of a video are the ones who can actually edit that video, and they're sent directly to different people instead of through some central chain of command. Well, that's basically what blockchain is. So we're decentralizing and putting the power of making these decisions into the consensus of the community and the rightful owners of each material. So the key to blockchain is cryptography. Anybody ever studied cryptography before? Maybe know a little bit about what is cryptography? Anyone in the chat? Somebody says someone took a math class on cryptography. That's pretty cool. So you probably know a lot about this subject. Somebody says, will there be a quiz at the end? I'll just put that up quickly. Yes, we will have a quiz at the end. Somebody says, thank you very much. Okay, we have here RSA algorithm. That's a very good example. So RSA algorithm is a way to perform encryption. Some other people say translate a language to binary. Yeah, I mean, these are similar ideas to cryptography. So what we're doing is we are linking the ledgers together with a cryptographic hash. And it's an algorithm that's going to create a one-way fingerprint of a file so that, in a sense, every fingerprint is unique and connected to all the previous cryptographic hash, right? So there's no way for us to necessarily falsify an entry because it would need to be linked to the rest of the hashes. And like many of you said, Bitcoin is one very common way of doing blockchain, but it's not the only one by any means. We can use governance for a blockchain, potentially, to do election results. That's a big topic right now, our election results, at least in the United States. Healthcare is another way we could transfer sensitive information in a secure manner. And actually music as well. Blockchain could potentially handle royalty payments, things like this. So there's just a few applications today. But of course, one of the biggest uses is to transfer digital currency. And so Zen, just like Bitcoin, is one of these native cryptocurrencies on the Horizen network or platform. So why would we want to use one of these cryptocurrencies instead of some normal currency? Well, there's a few different reasons we would want to do this. The first one is that it is decentralized and secure. So there's no global authority like, say, a central bank of the European Union, or maybe Treasury, Federal Reserve in the United States. There's actually the supply of Bitcoin is sort of fixed, not fixed in a sense, but it's not mandated by some central authority. And the transaction you make can be anonymous as well. So it's not necessarily something that you have a trace to what you can use your money in a way that's more anonymous. And it's also available 24/7. So unlike a bank, which might be open on closed on Sundays, Bitcoin is always changing hands. Okay, so let me quickly go back to the comments and see what kind of comments we have here. Okay, somebody says, would cryptocurrency be as valuable as a normal currency in the future? That's a very complicated question, and possibly the truth, that it could be as valuable as a normal currency. We could end up seeing it used all over, all over the world. One of the advantages, like I said, is it can't be manipulated. Like currency manipulation is something very, that a lot of people think about. One other thing, someone says, why is mining Bitcoin limited? So I believe mining Bitcoins would be a process where you're actually completing these cryptographic hashes. So before we talked about these cryptographic hashes, and the process of mining Bitcoin, you're simply continuing the work of solving these cryptographic problems. And so as the ledger grows and as the quantity of Bitcoins grows, the amount of computing resources that it takes to engage in these computations is much more. And so that's why the mining of Bitcoin slows down over time. Yeah, and somebody has it right here, exactly. You're validating a transaction. And this SHA 256, that would be what we were speaking of earlier about these hashes. Okay. Very good, everybody. So, very good questions about cryptocurrency. That's kind of what we're going to be doing today. We're actually not talking about Bitcoin, but with an analogous, in many ways, product, which is the Zen. So the Zen is going to be what we'll use today, and we'll actually access Zen on Sphere. So Sphere is a multifunctional app created by Horizen, and it's a desktop-based tool that will allow us to create Zen wallet and send money and receive. So I have a lot of Zen in my own wallet. Actually, not a lot, but I have enough to give to all of you. So you'll all be getting some free money today. Let's see. But first you have to download Sphere. So why don't you go to mlhlocal.host/Sphere to begin. And I'll let people download for a little while, and some other people I will answer some other questions. Someone says, if everyone has a copy of the entire ledger, how do you deal with storage problems? So actually, I don't think that it's true that everybody has a copy of the entire ledger. It's actually, I believe, distributed, but it's linked. So not every computer that is engaging in Bitcoins is actually storing the entire ledger. Somebody else has an opinion here. I don't think Bitcoin will take the future, and rightly points out that new research in quantum computers, many have suggested that this could, end up making these computationally intense projects like solving cryptographic hash very easy. So that's a very interesting point to bring up there, Rami Janini. And one more here. Somebody says, what are your thoughts on pi? Well, unless you're thinking about something else, I mean, I like pi. I like the number pi. Okay. So how are people doing with this? Anybody want to give me a chat and let me know whether you've been able to download Sphere? Oh, pi coin. Okay, sorry, I don't know anything about pi coin, but that's very interesting. I would love if maybe you could send a link or something to learn more. Okay, people say, which version of Sphere? Let me get on this website here. Just download the version that corresponds to your operating system. So I would download Windows. Yeah. And oh yeah, it seems like there's a lot of versions here. So I mean, I would just download any version that says 1.2.8 is probably going to be fine. Like you could download this if you're a Windows person or Linux over here. So yeah. Someone says they've been able to install using app image. Yep, I think there is a version there for it. Okay, so while we're waiting for some folks to do this, let me share my sphere. So here's mine, and as you can see, I have my own wallet here, and it's called Test Wallet. We're going to basically go through the steps soon to get to this point. So you're also at this point. Of course, you won't have any money in your wallet, but I will give you some because I'm very nice. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation and I'll show you exactly how we'll do this. So first, like people were saying, how do you install? There's a bunch of different versions, as we saw. For Mac, you want a DMG file, Windows exe file, and there are many ways to do on Linux. People in the comments were helping each other with that one. I encourage you to continue to do that. There are two basic elements of a blockchain. So there's a nodes, which are each of the computers in a grand network that forms the blockchain. And then there's miners, which are actually creating new blocks. So they're sort of at the edge of the blockchain, right? And these are the miners expanding the blockchain. And they are ones who are solving these cryptographic puzzles. And like some people said in the chat, very good observation, miners get new currency for new transactions, for creating new blocks. And yeah, these computations become more intense over time. And how is information shared on a blockchain? Every time a node receives new information, it shares it with a few known peers. So this is kind of getting at this: is everybody involved in every transaction of blockchain? No, not necessarily. It's whenever a node receives new information, it shares it with a few known peers. So it's distributed. And then those nodes send with a few other peers, right? And so gossip protocol. This is where we're not updating everybody all at once. We have distributed information. Identity on the blockchain. So people have been talking about public key cryptography. People talk about RSA encryption, things like this. What we have here with asymmetric key cryptography, you have one key that goes ahead and encrypts and another key that decrypts, and they come in pairs. So there's a public key, which is public identity, and I will share my public key with you because why not? But I will probably not share private key, and so that's the asymmetric nature of this cryptography here. Okay, and so to prove that you send a message, you digitally sign it with a private key. And when someone else wants to make sure that this message is real and really my message, they would use my public key to find out. And this is a basic encryption technique. It's what's used with RSA cryptography. It has to do with prime numbers and yeah, and modulus, the modulus of primes. So this is what you have here. You have a public key that everybody knows, and they can use it to check my transaction, and a private key, which I will use secretly. Now we'll talk about Horizen. So today, most blockchains only access a handful of transactions per second. In contrast, a centralized payment network can produce several transactions, several thousand. So why is this discrepancy there? As we've seen, it's very labor intensive to complete these transactions. That's why. But we need maybe a more scalable solution. And the solution is a sidechain. So a sidechain is a full blockchain in itself with the added feature of being interoperable with the main blockchain. So we can have a side A for some treasury and side B for some smart contracts, and they can interact with each other to basically form the main blockchain, but only when they need to. So in this way, we can have simultaneous parallel computation going on within the blockchain on different transactions. And so each sidechain needs its own full implementation of the blockchain paradigm. And Horizen is actually able to provide a sidechain SDK, which is a developer kit, where you can actually access all of this components. So why don't we now learn about the project for today. So the project for today, you can see it's Pong. So we have this Pong game, right? And if you win, you get a prize, and the prize will be in the form of Zen coin. So it's kind of like an arcade game where you will send along some Zen, and in exchange, you will get some reward. So let's see, 0.05 Zen it costs each time. Okay. So first we will launch Pong application, set up a Zen wallet, and interact with the Horizen blockchain. Before we move on to creating a Sphere wallet account, I just would like to see how people are feeling about this so far. So let's go into the chat and see what people have. Somebody says, originally I will provide 20 Bitcoin to 157 person. So let me see, how much would that be? So this would be about 3,000 Bitcoins, right? Roughly. And I think Bitcoin's worth 30,000 now. So what is that, $90 million or something? I don't think Major League Hacking has $90 million to spend, at least not on a workshop. But good try. Somebody says 35K, right? Okay, always changing. Do I work for Horizen? Somebody says. No, oh, no, obviously not. Okay. Yeah, I wish I could get paid $90 million for a workshop. Okay, anybody have any questions here? Somebody says, where do I go for Mac download? You want to go to this website, knowledgelocal.host/sphere. If you go there, you'll find a link to, and you can see all the 3 operating systems. You want to click for Mac and download the DMG file. Some people say that they're having trouble downloading Sphere, cannot sign up. Yeesh. Someone says incorrect password format. Okay, I ran into this myself when I was setting up a Sphere account. I tried like 15 different passwords, and none of them gave me like guidance on how to actually correct this and give them a correct password. So I recommend just going on a password generator and generating a very complex password with a capital. Someone says use a capital and special. Yeah, so try that. And if it doesn't work, try another random password. Yeah, because I agree. I ran into the same problem when I opened up my Sphere account. So that's a good one. Here's another tip somebody gives me. That's another good tip. Okay. So let's continue on here. Choose an account name, a strong password. This is exactly what we were talking about before. It says you need 8 characters long, and then 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, 1 special character. But yeah, try different special characters. You know, it's kind of a complicated one. Then you'll see this page. And what you want to do here is click Create New Wallet. And I called mine Test Wallet, just like the example. You want to require a password and set one that's strong. And this is what we're going to need, this password, when we want to send Zen from this wallet, to make sure that you know, we're authenticated to do so. Okay. Make sure you once you go through this process, you'll get a backup phrase, and this is you don't want to end up like some of these people. I think someone I read about in the New York Times, $222 million Bitcoin. Who is this guy? Yeah, here you go. This guy. Can everybody see the news article here? This person has 2 guesses left to access their digital wallet. They have $220 million of Bitcoin and forgot the wallet password. Poor guy. Do you imagine such a thing? You know, so remember your backup phrase, because you never know how much Zen will be worth in the future, you know, even if I just give you a small amount. So, yeah. Make sure you remember your backup password is my message for the day. Okay. So notice here, once you've created this wallet, this I information button, this right here is your wallet address, right? This is what you're allowed to share with others, right? What it'll do is allow you to send a transaction on behalf of this wallet and receive a transaction. So you'll want to share this with me so that I can give you some Zen. So why doesn't everybody post your, now this is going to be kind of hard, because how should I do this where you all send it to me? Okay, I'm gonna make a Google document. Oh well, someone suggests Discord. That's not a bad idea. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but Discord's kind of I think it's kind of it's crowded. Let me work on this for you guys real quick. Okay. So everybody, I have a solution worked out here. So what I'm going to do is place here. Okay, so can everybody see? Oh, lost my share screen. Okay. I love this. Okay. So this is the URL here, tinyurl.com/sharingzen. Please go to this address. I'll post it as well in the chat. And if you paste your wallet here, I'll send you some Zen. There it goes, going out on the airwaves. And somebody says, is there a chance to share the file of the presentation? Because of connection issues, I think I missed a lot. That's okay. If you missed some, this presentation is available. What you need to do is you need to log in to OHQ and register for the event. So let me get you that link as well. I'll paste it in this document if anybody wants the link to the slides. And somebody says, where do I get my wallet ID? Let me go back to the presentation to show you. Somebody says it's a bad idea. Oh well. I hope it's not that bad. I hope it's not too bad of an idea. Okay, so here it says address 1 information. Here's your link. Can everyone see that there? That's how you get the wallet. Okay. I'll put below down here, that right there is going to be the link for the free slides. You know, I'll put it up in the top because that way nobody gets it mixed up with anything else. Okay, oh my goodness, this is so many different wallets that I have to send this stuff through. That's okay. All right, so let me start going through. Now, folks, I'm not going to be sending you a lot of money, so I hope you're not anticipating a great deal of money through the Zen. Okay. Right, so I probably will close this to editing now. And whoever else, you can still follow along, even if you are unable to edit. So I've updated permissions now. Weirdly enough, I only have, looks like I only have 7 addresses. I feel like I should have more than that. Did anybody unable to, anybody not see theirs up here? Someone says make a Google form. Yeah, I probably should. It's probably a better idea. I didn't realize how many people there were that wanted to do this one. So I'll make a Google form instead. Sorry, everybody. I should have done this to begin with. It was a good suggestion. Okay, folks. So now the new link is going to be here. So you should still be able to read this document. Can everybody? Yeah, hopefully everybody can get in there. Someone says, is the blockchain event tomorrow related to this? Actually, we have a couple of blockchain partners that we sponsor with, so probably not the same technology, but there will be relating material. Is access denied? Wow, there's just a lot of people, I guess. Okay, I'll try a new tiny URL. Here's a new tiny URL for the maybe I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it seems like people have been able to fill it out. I've gotten already 33 responses. So probably I'm going to go ahead and do this one now. Somebody really likes sending me their address. I don't know why, but it's like one person sent me their address 5 times. Okay. So I've only been able to send it to one person so far. It was the first person that sent me their address. I'm trying to send it to more people, but yeah, I think we may have to rethink this a little bit in the future because it takes a long time for the Zen protocol to authorize the transaction. And now I have, I think, 63 different wallet addresses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down the survey, and so I'll do that now. All of these addresses I have, I'll share this with you all. So let me do that. These are all the addresses I have. I have your address in the for sure. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and send these addresses. I'll send you all the Zen money after I'm done with this. After I'm done with this presentation, okay? But unfortunately, I think we'll have to wait until after the workshop because then I will be able to send Zen to all of you. Yeah, because otherwise we will be here probably for 30 minutes while I wait for Zen to authenticate each of you to send you all like 10 cents. Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and move on with our workshop. Okay, so let's now move on to a different task, and that's going to be looking at the source code that we have. So you're going to go to mlhlocal.host/Horizen Ping Pong Starter. So here it is. It's a GitHub project, a GitHub repo. And as you can see, it's a pretty large project. What you can do is run this code on Replit. So you'll need to have a Replit address. Once you enter into your Replit account, you should be able to see that it's all here. So why doesn't everybody try that doing a Replit account? And the Replit, if you've never used it before, has 3 main windows. So the leftmost window displays all the structures of the files. The middle one shows you the code, and the right one shows a terminal. So that's what Replit is built to do. And so it has our ping pong game. And so in blockchains, transactions are messages to the entire network informing about some transfer of money. And a cryptographic wallet is where you can manage your keys, show your balance, and create transactions. So that's why we made those Sphere wallets, or those Sphere accounts to make a Zen wallet. And you want to create, the first thing we'll want to do is create a .env file. So if we go back to this folder here, we can add a file, and we name it .env. And this is an environment file. So it sets some of the variables for the environment. And we would want to type in Zeng Pong wallet seed. And that's going to be where you'll place your 24-word backup phrase. And make sure you put it in quotation marks. So you'll write Zen Pong wallet seed, and then of course your 24-word backup phrase, which I'll just write, I mean, this one will not actually compile, but it's just a test example. So how are people doing with this so far? Some people are saying we need a link. Oh, wow. Should have sent the link. All right, I'll send it in the chat. Okay, it's in the slides as well. The link is Horizen Ping Pong Starter. Here it is. Some other people have also sent it out. There you go. So there's the, some people have said, please slow down a little bit. Sorry about that. We'll go a little slower, and no worries. That is a good advice. So not the only one. So we'll slow down a little bit and just start here with Horizen Ping Pong Starter. Somebody says, anybody have any questions here? After getting to GitHub, what to do? This is a good one. So you see do you see the slides where it says Replit? You want to click that button there. Click the button to launch to Replit. And someone says, do you need to run it on Replit? Could you run it locally? Absolutely. You could absolutely run it locally. But if you run it locally, it will look slightly different than how we're doing it. So just keep that in mind. And someone else says, okay, yeah, sorry about that, everyone. I kind of went too fast there. Someone says the form doesn't work. Not sure what you mean by that one. Maybe the Zen form. I shut down the Zen form because we've received a lot of addresses, so I need to get through all of those. I may open it back up at the end for some more wallets, but we have so many wallets, and the transaction time is very large. You can do a lot of the workshop without Zen. Someone says, is the Zen seed receiving the receiving code? Actually, not sure. Maybe you could explain a little more what you mean by that. How much do you earn? I'll probably send you each about 10 cents. Someone says address. Okay, yeah. So if the address, yeah, it's exactly right. So that seed is your address. That long character. Okay, so why don't we continue on here? So let's see, where did we go? The environment file, that's right. So that's where we had gotten here. And let's take a break from doing this while people are catching up with Replit. We want to talk about smart contract. So smart contract is a software on a blockchain, and it's allowing us to have credible transaction without parties, third party. So what it will do is eliminate the requirement, for a middleman. So an artist could directly sell music through smart contract instead of going through some distribution network. And that's kind of what we're going to do today. We're going to be exploring these smart contracts in the context of Zen. And one of the advantages here, we have safety, of course, there's transparency, and everything is authorized mutually. And then there's savings. You will not need a middleman. Highly accurate and guaranteed outcomes. So these are some of the advantages of doing it this way. And we'll start looking at some of the code that we'll need for today. So why doesn't everybody who has Replit open, look at your files here, and the directory is public/scripts/index.js. So click public scripts index.js. These are all the JavaScript functions that will be going into our web app. Remember, we're building a Pong web app, and it will have a smart contract for you to exchange Zen coins. So it says, look at these lines, 186 through 188. So let's go down there. Okay, so these are all of the start forms. So you have a start game form, start payment form, start prize form. And this is all going to be called upon starting the game. And we'll look at what each of these methods do one by one. So start game form, as you can see, the code is up here. It's also in index.js. It's what happens when we create a game. And we call the API for our game and store the details about this game. You know, like what are your what's your wallet? You know, where do we start with the Pong in these objects? So that's what we're doing here with start game form. And later on in start game form, we update payment instructions, things like this. Another one is watch for payment. And this is the most important part of the start payment form. And so what this is going to do is wait for a notification of payment. And once it receives that, it starts a new game. So this is, you can see in the GIF, it's asking for your wallet address. And it's going to listen in and see when you provide that. And once you provide the money to start the game, then it will, as you can see, start game function. Okay, so we start with start game form, and then start game is initialized once you provide payment. And if it doesn't provide payment, you can see it has an else function that will check for payment. So watch for payment, again, is listening in. Once the game is finished, it checks whether you've won or not, and by querying the UI, if it has won, state game result. And if you've won, then it displays a win. If you haven't, it displays a loss. And then the start prize form function is triggered. So this function is the other one for a form where you have a case where you've got a player wallet, and it's going to update and take your information and send a coin. Okay, so I think this is sort of, we're still just continuing with index.js. I'm not sure how detailed we need to go with these. But one of the interesting things to think about just is these are the back-end mechanics of how the transaction is authenticating with Zen. Okay. All right, we go ahead and try and launch the web app. So if we click Run button on Replit, it uses Yarn, installs Yarn, resolves and fetches all the necessary packages, and it's going to hopefully deploy our application. Let's see if anyone had any questions at this time. Someone says, send Pong wallet seed, your public address. In this case, actually, I think you should write your 24-word backup phrase, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Somebody else put a link to the slides that's really good. If you go to the document that I sent over a link to, this is the way you can get the slides. So you would follow this link here to receive the access to the slides. Okay. So it seems like my app is now listening on port 5000, which means that the Node app has deployed. So I can click press start new game, and brings me to start game form. So it tells me to transfer this amount of Zen to this address and provide my address. So I would provide my address here and click check payment. Okay. Someone says, can we play ping pong without Zen? Probably. Probably if you just get rid of start game form, and you just tell the application to, you could probably just replace start game form with start game, and then you won't need to go through start game form. So that could be an interesting project for those of you who don't have any Zen. Try and just get to the ping pong game. Someone asks, what do we put in .env? That's a good question. So let me go to my .env file. What I have in here is Zenpong wallet seed. This is an environmental variable. And what you'll need to put in is your 24-word backup phrase. So when you generated a wallet for Zen through Sphere, you're provided a 24-word backup phrase. And that's what you would put in here. Someone says, I get an error, cannot find express. So hopefully it could be something, if you're running it locally, maybe there's some issue with one of your packages. Maybe you do not have express. If you're running on Replit, probably they probably shouldn't have that error. I mean, maybe you could say whether you're running on Replit or not. What I would say is, if you're running on Replit, maybe just try redeploying on Replit, because it should work. It should have Express available to it. So I would say try running on Replit if you aren't already, and relaunch. Relaunch it if you're getting an error like that. Might just be something that, some kind of bug. Okay, yeah. So I would just go ahead and try and relaunch on Replit. Maybe other people are familiar with Replit. Someone says npm install Express. Yeah, that's true. You could do that. So you'll recall that when I did Replit, it automatically did that for me. Yarn install Express. So this is a suggestion to just type this directly into your terminal. So let me do that on mine. I think it should probably just, it tells me that I already have here. Oh, yarn add express. Yeah. So this will be a solution for you to add express. And if it then tells you that you need, something else like a node or something like that, just repeat the process. That was a good suggestion. Somebody says they got a type error. My guess, if you get a type error, that might be because you typed in the environment variable incorrectly, this Zenpong wallet seed. That would be my best guess. So go through the environment file again. Try that one. But yeah, otherwise, not sure if you would get that because we're all working from the same code. So you could also try to relaunch. Yeah, that's a good one. You have to create a new env file. So what you'll do is, I'll do it in mine. You'll go up here and you click Add File. And when you do that, you can name this file. You can name it .env. Okay. That's what you would end up doing. And some people have asked, how can I play this game if the wallet's empty? Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I'm gonna fill up wallets. Anyone who has sent me through that Google form, I'll send you some Zen. It's something that we're gonna need to, I'll probably need to send it to HQ because I don't actually have that much Zen. How much Zen are you going to send us? I'll send you enough, at least for one play, or yeah, I mean, yeah. So I'll try and send you some Zen afterwards. Someone says, how can I copy those 24 backup words? So you have to do this. This process has to take place when you're up here at the creating a wallet stage. So when you're up here creating a wallet, you want to do an account, create new wallet, enter a password. And this is at this point, right? It says backup phrase, generate backup phrase. And when you do that, it will display the backup phrase for you. So you'll need to acquire this backup phrase while you're generating a new wallet. There's no other point at which you can get this backup phrase, I believe. Maybe someone knows another way, but that's the way that I know how to do it. Someone says, yeah. So, oh, okay. So this is kind of interesting. So someone else has figured out how to play even without bypassing the wallet. That's pretty cool. Can I post my address here? Yeah, sure. I mean, sure. I'll post my address. Here's my address. Yeah, that's true. You could play it. Well, that's actually probably not going to work. Maybe it would work. I think you'll need to change the private key, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, so let's continue on. I will make my best effort to send you all Zen. There are some other ways to play without using Zen. If you change the function, the starting function would be my best guess. If you just start with the game, it should be fine. Okay. So we've already done this stuff. Okay, so the game, like I said, press 1 on your keyboard, it will move up and down, and you will play Pong. And once you win, you input your wallet address, and it'll collect your winnings. And then you click Redeem Your Prize, and it'll send to your Sphere wallet. And this one here is another important part of the project. So what we need to do is actually finish this function here, create transaction function. And the reason we need to do that is because the game doesn't necessarily know some of this information about you, like what hash you're on. And so, you know, let's continue on and talk about this a little bit. So, when a transaction is sent on a blockchain, it's locked. It can only be unlocked by the private key of the receiver. So you can imagine a situation where you might have 10 Zen from your grandma, and you want to buy 2 Zen speakers. What's going to happen is you'll have input, which is going to be the 10 Zen, right? That's spent by the sender. And then it's going to be split into what you want to send to the payee, right? The $2, and then the $8 that you get back. So this is the full transaction. And you know, to spend the 10 Zen, you have to unlock it using your private key. And the private key is used to create a digital signature, which, if valid, will unlock your money. And then the nodes and the miners will go ahead and verify all of this before you're added to the block. And then the outputs of the transaction get locked again. And a locked transaction is called an unspent transaction output. So we have our X Zen that we did have for the transaction output, and then some of it will be spent and some will be an unspent transaction output. That's going to be true for whatever, you know, whatever transaction you might make. Think of it as change. You know, you have a transaction, then you have some change left over. So to perform a transaction, we need the private key of the sender, the unspent transaction outputs, and the address of the recipient. So what this function is doing is it's taking as an input the game's wallet and the address we want to send the money to. First thing that the function does is it gets the address associated, or the private key rather, associated with the game wallet in order to sign the transaction. That's what it's doing down here. And then line 60, we find the address that maps to the current game wallet. And then line 61, it's getting the private key of that wallet into the variable private key. This next portion is constants that we'll use to create our transaction. And the block height is the block at which we want to commit this transaction. So we want to do this on a, on the latest block, right? Because again, it's going to expand outwards. So let's go to mlhlocal.host/zeninsight. You can see here that the latest, you can see the latest blocks up here, where we, just 6 minutes ago, this block was created, height 836403. And these are all the hashes, excuse me, where you have a transaction laid out. Okay, and eventually these will be consolidated into a new block. So you can view the way that these blocks are developing here at this website. mlhlocal.host/zeninsight. Let me put that in the chat. Okay. Someone said, let's answer some questions here. This symbol, let me see where we found that one. Yeah, so this is exactly right. So this is how the function is understanding its instructions. So you have constant create transaction, then you have async, and it's going to execute all these things. So that's what that means. It's not a greater than or equal to like a conditional or something like that. What else do people have to ask? Yeah, lambda expression, exactly. So it's just a different way of writing writing things out functionally instead of iteratively. You can look up a lambda calculus, things like this. Instead of installing each, yeah, this is good. So every time you transact from a wallet, the person knows exactly how much you have. So I wouldn't say that. I think it's probably a matter of part of this unspent transaction. So I don't think it's your total amount, but it certainly is the amount that you put forward. And then when that gets negotiated onto the transaction, the UTXO is what's left from that. So I don't think it's your entire wallet, but I do think you are putting forward more than you need to pay. But I don't think it's all of your balance. I don't think it's you put your whole balance forward and then. Okay, some other questions here. Yeah, someone says, I'll change the code to play without Zen. This is a good idea because I don't know when we will get Zen. Somebody else says you can maybe get free Zen at Zen Hub. That's pretty cool. I think that's awesome. I didn't know that. I will try my best to send out Zen to you all. Someone else asked if there's a processing fee. Yes, there is. It's a small processing fee for each time. Okay. So you can update your code with the correct block height. So this code says 450150. And 450150 is going to go ahead and be the block height. So you can change it to update according to what's there on your, when you go to this website, mlhlocal.host/zeninsight. And then it actually subtracts a little bit from this current block height, right? So it's maybe 150 less. And the reason for this is for replay prevention. And let's talk about that now. So what's replay prevention? It is a change in the code that leads to a fork. If someone rejects this change, then it causes a hard fork, which means that you've got, instead of just one, consistent chain, you've now got two separate transaction histories, and this is a replay attack. To prevent a replay attack like this, we need to pin our transaction to a block that is only on one of the forks and will not be orphaned. So we can't necessarily pin to the original chain. We have to pin to this fork chain. And if the block used for the replay protection gets orphaned, the transaction will be unspendable. So we don't want to have a replay attack, because if this happens, then we're kind of off the rails, and it can get consolidated again, but it takes time. So let's go back to our code and learn about the create transaction function again. So like I was saying, you go to this website, mlhlocal.host, type the block number which you need, and press enter. And then you can see the hash for the block, and this is what you'll paste also in the create transaction function. So you want to look at the block that you're at and get one of the block hash there. And that, if we go back to the code, that's what you'll place in this variable, bit115be lock hash. Yep, that's where that'll go. All right, so there you have it. That's the way you'll edit the create transaction function, is using this website, mlhlocal.host/zeninsight. And you'll complete the function create transaction. What should this function do? It gets transaction details, creates the transaction, signs the transaction, and broadcasts the transaction. So first, it gets the transaction details. Let's get the unspent transaction outputs for the game wallet's address. So we already have a function called get unspent transactions. We're going to call that function. Here we are saying get UTXO. And it requires the address of the game wallet. So again, as someone asked, is this kind of like your balance? Are you giving your full balance away, revealing this? No, it's going to probe the unspent transaction outputs. So from your last transaction, right, what were the unspent amounts, and get that version there. Now we'll create an object, this transaction details object, which is going to store the wallet address. Let's create the raw transaction by using create raw tx method, and it's going to again take several inputs here. All of these inputs, mind you, are the ones we were thinking about before. So we had our block hash, our block height, right? That's what you get from ZenInsight. Then you search that block and you can find the hash. So these are now important parameters for our transaction. The next part is to sign the transaction. So then we use the signTX method by supplying these parameters: raw transaction, the index at the list, the private key of the game wallet address, and whether we should compress the public key or not. And in this case, it's true. So finally, we need to serialize and broadcast the transaction. So, this is in this case we're going to make this a serial message, right? One that we can broadcast, one character at a time, and use the broadcast transaction function that we already have from our Zen API. And once you're done with all of these steps, you should be able to get money into your wallet. So let me show you the video here of explaining how this works. So this person plays the game, they win, and then they provide a wallet and they get the prize. So this is our end goal. It requires you to have some Zen already to play. And then once you win, you can redeem your prize. So again, all this code we went over, this is all to implement the create transaction function. And we can assess this by using the code examples that they give you. So you just follow the code examples in these slides. I'll reiterate these slides to you at the end, but in the meantime, I want to get some questions that people have. All right, let's see what we have. Someone says you can get free Zen using the Brave web browser. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So there's lots of ways you can get Zen while you're waiting for me to figure out this. Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody. Next time I'll try and have some feedback so that we can maybe make this a little more streamlined process. I really like that some people are figuring out how to play this game even without using Zen. That's really neat. Let's see. Anyone else have something here? So what do we need to change in the code? So what's going to need to be changed is the create transaction function. So this so let me go there. Let me go to this actual function. So as you can see, it's in this folder, index.js, but it's a different index.js. It's libzen index.js. So let me go there. So you open up this folder here in your replit. Remember we spoke about the get the unspent transaction? Here it is. Here's the create transaction function. So you want to, in this case, this block height is not the latest block height, okay? And this block hash would not necessarily correspond to that latest block height. So you're going to need to change these elements to have an authentic transaction. And then some of these other things here are already written out, but they're also in the slides in case you want to follow along and understand what's going on. Yeah, so that's what you would have to change is that portion that I showed you, lines 63 through 67. Let me see here. All right. This one here, mlhlocal.host/heap. This is the Horizen Early Adopter Program. So in this case, you can get access to newest releases, beta versions of products, and go to webinars, things like this. So I'll post this link as well. Heap. Someone says, can you show us what we need to change to? Yeah, so I was trying to show before. I think probably I did not do a good job of iterating that correctly. So what you'll go to is mlhlocal.host/zeninsight. And this is in the slides as well. And in this case, you can see the blocks, the latest blocks, right? The latest block is 836409, created just a few seconds ago. And if I search for this, it tells me the block hash, right? So this would be what I would enter into the program because this is the most recent transactions that are occurring. There's already been 64 transactions, and this is the user, this is the miner right here, who ended up doing this one and got a reward of 6 Zen, which I think is probably like, not quite $100 or something. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question about what needs to be changed. Someone else says, how do we get points for this workshop? What we're going to do is we're going to do a quiz. So let's move on to that quiz. But before we do the quiz, let's talk about the Horizen developer environment, which is just an open source project where you can actually have educational resources for Horizen. And if you want some swag for Horizen, here's another way you can earn some stuff from this workshop. Fill out this form, mlhlocal.host/Horizen form. Let me place that as well in the chat. So these are the things we learned about blockchain technology, Horizen, Sphere wallets. And we learned how to create and send a transaction to the Horizen blockchain. There are a couple other things we can try. You can try making this a two-player game, which if you look at the game mechanics and how the paddle moves, you can apply that to both objects and assign different keys. So, and there's an extra practice problem where you could create a sidechain specifically for our Pong application. What would you change compared to the main chain? Okay. So let's try our quiz. So we go to MLH localhost/quiz. And the quiz we will choose, oh, let me type that into the chat so that people don't lose it. Someone says the swag giveaways ended already, question mark. Huh. All right, well, I think if you try emailing hi@mlh.io, try emailing this email address. And if you email them, maybe they have some swag left over. Someone else says if you hit submit, it accepts your entry. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go to this quiz. We want to try where is it here? Basics of blockchain with Horizen. Very last one. And if we want to do LHD build, we just want to type LHD build 2024. And you want to type the workshop also. So first you'll have to go through all of this stuff here. I believe that there's a part of the quiz here. Oh, here's the quiz. Okay. So the contents of the quiz. What's the name of Horizen's cryptocurrency? It would be Zen. The two main elements of a blockchain are nodes and miners. Information is transferred over the blockchain. Which one of these is true? Everyone, is it a gossip protocol, a communication protocol, or sidechain? This is the last question, so let's crowdsource it. Okay, first one right there. Gossip protocol, exactly. And so that's the quiz. So that's how you can earn some points for localhost day. This is, yeah, I would do this. Email MLH, ask if they have any swag left, but make sure you mention Horizen Workshop and what we did today, because yeah, otherwise we should delete that slide. I would assume that the swag is still there if we have it in the slides. Someone says, please give us the link of the educational resource. Sure thing. Let me, it's also in the slides, which I did put a link to that one as well. But let me, well, I've actually passed it, I think. Here's the educational resource, MLH localhost/HDE. Someone says, do you have to change the block height and hash every time you play the game? I don't think so. I think after a certain point, the block gets too far away for the transaction to complete in an efficient manner. I think that's why you update to the most recent block. The one in the workshop is probably a very old block. So yeah, I think that's the reason why we update to a more recent block. But it should not be the case that you need to update every single time you play the game. All right, folks, I think that's pretty much it for today. But again, if you send if you send if you sent me an address, I'm going to do my best to go ahead and give you some Zen. All right, folks, thank you very much for attending.